Oh, I'm so freaking tight. It was such a well-played game, and then he just started scaling, grabbing some relics, and it just went downhill from there. Solo G, appreciate the follow. Welcome to the stream, broski. Glad to have you. Oh my goodness. So before we dive into this next game, y'all, I definitely want us to have a very nice heart-to-heart, a very deep conversation, and we are going to turn this into a YouTube video as well. D-Man9T1, appreciate the follow, broski. Glad to have you. So what I'm going to do, ladies and gents, I am going to turn off the notifications. I'm going to turn off the text-to-speech, and I am going to turn off the on-screen chat just so I can focus as we are getting ready to talk about this. But there's a reason why my stream titles for Age of Empires remain the same. Where are all the Black RTS players slash streamers? That's because when you look throughout any of the different channels, you don't see anyone that looks like me. It's a very serious question. It's not meant to be divisive in any way, shape, or form, but we are going to actually sit down and talk about this. We're going to go into my unique perspective as to why I don't see them. And we're going to open this up to a dialogue. And I'm looking forward to posting this on YouTube so we can dive into the comment section so that we can actually find out, if this is a global phenomenon, what it looks like in your particular city, state, country, and what it looks like in your region. Because everyone's story is unique. As Black people, we're not monolithic. So my unique perspective is going to apply from an inner city kid coming from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right? As opposed to someone who's coming from Harrisburg or Philly, or we got Inverde here from Egypt, right? Or my man Fasol. Everyone's coming from different parts of the world, and many of us, who look like me, right? We don't see many of us in this space. So I'm going to date myself a little bit once again before we dive into this. We're going to dive into the topic of where are all the Black RTS players, streamers, and yet again, I'm going to add on pro players into the mix as well because I don't know of any pro Black. Let's just back that up. Black pro RTS players, right? Don't know of any, right? So I'm gonna date myself a bit. All right. I'm a late 80s baby, ladies and gents. So I've been playing RTSs longer than some of you have been alive, right? I've been gaming longer than some of you have been alive. I remember before cell phones were a thing. I remember when we still had payphones. I remember before, digital photos were a thing. I remember when we still had Polaroids, right? I remember before high speed internet was a thing. We had dial up AOL 56K and we had DSL, which was a slight upgrade, but still trash. I'm going somewhere with this. It sounds random, but you'll see where I'm going with this in a moment, right? So it wasn't until freshman year in university when social media even came about. MySpace, Facebook. I remember when Facebook was only for specific colleges. It wasn't just the social network for everyone, right? So here's where I'm going with this. Growing up as a young Black male, young Black female as well, not me, but Black males, Black females who are in my age range. We grew up in a time frame where PCs, laptops were still very, very, very expensive. It wasn't common to just have one in the house, right? Email wasn't widespread, so that wasn't a thing. People weren't really had to check their emails on the day-to-day basis. Work from home, remote working wasn't a thing, so you didn't need a PC or a laptop for that. They weren't a thing, right? People didn't have them for school. Individuals like myself or any child my age, we were still going to the library to look up stuff for homework, to write book reports, to check out books, to complete assignments. That was a thing, right? So we grew up in a very different time period. So if you lived in an inner city or you were a young Black male or female, a lot of the time, statistically speaking, we don't come from two-parent households. By the grace of God, I did have both parents in my household, but a lot of my peers did not. So when you are coming from a background like that and your parents and or parent if they're doing what they need to do to make ends meet. You may have siblings, you may be the only child, but we'll just say for the sake of argument, you have siblings, right? Your parents are taking care of your needs as opposed to the wants, right? You have rent. If not rent, you have a mortgage, right? On top of that, you have the household necessities. The children have, school items that they need, typical food, shelter, all of the above. These are things that were mandatory. So PCs and laptops, being that they weren't common practice and they weren't a normal part of the fabric of our society like it is today. And when I say a fabric of our society, I'm specifically referring to, we'll say, the US, because I can only speak from where I come from, right? I'm not saying that this is the norm for everyone in the world. I'm just saying in the US, it's kind of a normal, commonplace for people to have laptops or PCs now, right? So with that being said, back then, it did not make sense for a parent to buy a child a PC or a laptop for it to just sit in the house because there was no real wide stream or mainstream purpose for it at that point. So what happened is all of the gaming, all of your good RTSs, they only came out on PC back in the day. Your Command and Conquer Red Alerts, Red Alert 2s, Tiberian Suns, and all 39 Command and Conquers that came out over the years. Your Age of Empires, your Age of Empires 2, 3, etc. All of that was PC. Your StarCraft Brood Wars, your Warcrafts, your Supreme Commanders, right? What else? Your, like, just insert whatever art, your Beyond All Reasons, right? Like, I can go down the list of all of the different RTSs that we've played, we've enjoyed. They only existed on PC at that point in time. You had a few RTSs that were floating around on consoles. They were trash. I'm just going to be honest with you. But the only good RTSs were on PC. And when you look like me and you come from, we'll say, a background that a lot of my peers came from, once again, parents were not going out and buying PCs. So what did they do? They bought consoles. So we had the Segas, we had the Super Nintendos, we had the PlayStations, we had the PlayStation 2s, we had the Xboxes, we had the Dreamcast, we had the Nintendo 64s, we had the, what else? The um Game Boys, the Game Gears, right? You get the point, right? I'm skipping a few ages and generations, but I'm just throwing out the consoles so you can understand that that was what we primarily gravitated towards. And the games that we played came reflected on how we grew up. So going back to the points I was referring to and touching base with earlier, I grew up in a time frame where we still played outside. People weren't glued to cell phones and social media because we didn't have those things. So I'm going to wrap this up and bring my point to a head so you can see what I mean. So the games that me and my peers played, for example, I was a basketball player all throughout school as a young man, both in school, out of school, all the way up till I graduated, right? All on all the different teams, the middle school teams, the JV teams, the high school teams. When we weren't playing in school, we were playing in the rec league. So if you're from the States or you're familiar with the US, you know of YMCA and some of the other, recreational centers. They had leagues as well, right? Outside of the recreational centers, you had the youth groups in the church leagues. So we were playing basketball in school. We were playing face to face, not on social media, not on the game, face to face interaction. We were playing basketball in school. If we weren't playing in school, we were playing in the rec league during the off season from school. If we weren't playing in the rec league, we were playing pickup games in the park. If we weren't playing pickup games in the park, then and only then, when it was late night and we couldn't play outside anymore, we would have the sleepovers or the weekend get-togethers, and we were playing the NBA 2Ks, the NBA Lives, the NBA Jams. I'm dating myself with my age, I know, but you get the point. And that's what we did. So the games that you'll see a lot of black people gravitate towards will be your shooters, your sports games, your fighting games. So, going back to the point that I had just made with the basketball aspect, me and my peers who love basketball and played basketball 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, those were the games that we played. Basketball games, right? But if we weren't playing face to face and we jumped on the console, that's what we played. Now let's sub in for, and I guarantee you, if you look in the chat and you see everybody talking right now, they're like, yeah, Rock, you're absolutely right, right? Now substitute for those of y'all who played football. Tell me I'm wrong. It was the same thing. If you weren't playing in school, then you were playing in the rec league. If you weren't playing in the rec league, you were playing, the pickup. And if you weren't playing pickup, then you were playing Madden on the console. Substitute football for MLB and baseball. This is how us as young African males and young Black American males and females. And at that point in time, there wasn't a lot of young ladies who were on the game, right? But the point I'm making is that is how we played and how we interacted with the respected titles. So if we weren't playing the sports games, as I mentioned, we were playing the fighting games, the Smash Brothers, Nintendo 64, Smash 64, the Power Stones, the Tekkens, the Street Fighters, the Mortal Kombats, right? If not the fighters and the shooters, the Perfect Darks, the GoldenEyes, the Halos, the what else? The Gears of War. I know that's a little bit later down the line, but you get my point. So and you can do this right now, just to prove my point, right? If you keep this window open, but open another window on your browser. If you're watching this on your PC, laptop, you might be on your phone. If you're on your phone, don't worry about it. But I guarantee people in the chat can vouch for what I'm about to say. For those of you who are on the PC and the laptop, open up a separate browser, go over to Twitch, Kick, any streaming platform you want right now, and go to the Madden section. You'll see a lot of Black content creators in Madden. You'll see players, you'll see streamers, you'll see pro players in Madden. Go over to NBA 2K. Scroll down all the channels, right? Whether Kick, YouTube, Twitch, I don't care. You'll see same thing that I just mentioned on Madden, Black content creators, Black pro players, Black players in general. Go over to your fighting games. Smash Brothers, Brawlhalla, any of them. Scroll through the channels, same thing. Everybody in chat's like, he's absolutely right. I know, right? Like that's just how it's always been for us. Now go over to Twitch, Kick, go to any of the RTSs. Doesn't even have to just be Age of Empires right now. Go to any of them. Scroll through. You may see just me and one other person. I'm talking about StarCraft. I'm talking about StarCraft 2, StarCraft Brood War, Halo Wars 1, Halo Wars 2, Supreme Commander, Beyond All Reason. I'm going to name them out for y'all. Any of the Ages of Empires, go through any of the RTSs to your liking. You're not going to see us. You're going to see me. There's a few of us out here, and I'm definitely going to take some time to give shout outs to the ones that I know, right? But I'm trying to shed light, not from a divisive standpoint. I want to be crystal clear. That's not the purpose of this topic at all. I just want to shed some light and some solutions so that we can grow our community and bring more people in, right? We'll get into that in a moment. So let me know, chat. Am I wrong? Am I lying? Is what I'm saying factual? Thank you. Right? I'm just looking down over we'll get to that in a moment, right? So that is some of the reasons, right? Let me not even say the reasons. That's some of the backstory, right? So finances, as I mentioned, statistically speaking, we don't all come from, two-parent households. And that's going to be with all races. It's just not a Black thing. I want to be crystal clear, right? So statistically speaking, Not everyone comes from two family households, right? Not everyone grows up in two family households, right? When it comes to the finances aspect that circles around that, resources are going to be lacking. Nowadays, even with resources lacking, it's a lot easier to get your hands on a PC or a laptop because they're not as expensive. And now, with them being part of the mainstream fabric of everything, work from home, internet, schoolwork, communication, you get the point. It's needed. It's almost a necessity. Back then, it wasn't. I grew up in an age pre, we'll just call it the bedrock age and the Fred Flintstone age. So you can understand the differences in the polar opposites of then and now. So the RTS industry was booming back then. Your question is probably like, okay, Rocco, with now with RTSs, still being around and PCs and laptops still being accessible today, why don't we see more individuals that look like you? Very good question. Back then, it wasn't the PCs, laptops wasn't accessible, like I mentioned, but RTSs and the gaming industry as a whole were booming. I remember when games as a whole, but we'll just say RTSs specifically. I remember when RTSs had TV commercials. I remember Command and Conquer having a TV commercial. I remember StarCraft Brute War having a TV commercial. I remember RTSs having radio commercials or radio spots or radio promos. There used to be a ton of studios, and over the years, studios have shut down, closed down. The gaming industry as a whole, just like most industries, are a shell of what they used to be. So back then, individuals that look like myself didn't have people in the household or the resources ourselves to go out and get the laptops or the PCs to game and play these RTSs, even if we had an interest in it. And nowadays, PCs, laptops are readily available, but most people are still, they're not familiar with RTSs because there aren't many games as compared to the amount of games in the past. There's not the same promotion and the revenue and the amount of money that's spent on promotion in present day like it was in the past. So you can have 30 RTSs. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, you can have 30, 40, 50 RTSs that have dropped in the last 2 to 3 years. And I can tell you personally, as an RTS head, I don't know of more than two. Ages of Empires 4, Ages of Empires 2, when that dropped in. What else? You see my point? So even present day and age, with all of the actual price of laptops, PCs dropping, and the accessibility to have them for gaming and personal reasons, the studios that were behind some of these great titles, your StarCraft Brute Wars, your Warcrafts, Blizzard has went through change after change, downsize after downsize, development team after development team. You get the point, and I'm just using them as an example. They're not the only ones. You don't see the hotness that you've seen from the past presently now. People are still playing StarCraft Brood War. People are still playing StarCraft 2. I'm saying that from the standpoint of those are great games, but there was a time where you had there was a time when you had Command and Conquer, and then there was the expansion, Command and Conquer Red Alert, and then Tiberian Sun. They were dropping one every year. Actually, there might have been every 6 months. There was a new RTS, and you knew about it because there was the money that was going into the promotion behind it. You heard the radio promotion. You've seen the TV commercials. You see my point? When's the last time you seen a TV commercial or a radio, or you heard a radio promotion for any game, let alone RTSs? So that, I hope that answers that question. I hope that sheds some light. Chat, please let me know, am I out of pocket? I know what I'm talking about. It's And for those of you who are black, shout outs to y'all because I know we have a few in the chat, right? So I appreciate y'all. And it looks like we have different people from different parts of the world as well. And Verdi all the way from Egypt. Shout outs to you, Brody. Said Conqueror one from Egypt. I don't want to get sidetracked, y'all. Let's finish this up and then we'll dive into the next game and then we'll get this posted up on YouTube, right? So we don't want to extend this and we don't want let's just because I'm doing all of this unscripted off the top of my head, so I apologize if it's all over the place. But most importantly, in the comment section below, ladies and gents, once this is up on YouTube, I want you to let me know, right? Growing up, how many black RTS players did you know? For me personally, there was 4 of us. It was myself, my cousin Jay. He was actually the one who introduced me to StarCraft Brood War and the RTS genre as a whole. By the grace of God, me and him both had, PCs in our household, which is what allowed us to take part in this amazing genre we like to call RTSs. My boy Kurt, which was the one who introduced StarCraft Brood War to my cousin Jay, and then my boy Brennan. There was only 4 of us. So growing up, how many black RTS players do you know? Right? Where are you located at in the world? And please provide me with your unique story. Once again, as black people, we're not monoliths. So I can only give my unique perspective from a black kid who grew up in the inner city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My perspective is going to vary greatly from a kid who grew up in Harrisburg or a kid who grew up in Philly versus a kid who grew up in New York or any of the 5 boroughs in New York, or a kid who grew up in Arizona, whether that be Tempe, Scottsdale, Phoenix. You get the point. Or somebody like Inverde, right, who grew up in Egypt as an Egyptian, right, as a black person in Egypt. You get my point. That's why I want to get down to the bottom of each of our unique perspectives so we can expand the dialogue even further. In addition to that, let me know of any black RTS streamers that you're aware of. Once again, I only know of 3, maybe 4 max. So number 1 being myself. I'm a variety streamer. I don't stream all things RTS, but I've streamed StarCraft 2 over the years, and currently I'm streaming and playing a lot of Age of Empires 4, right? My boy Tempo StarCraft, and all of these people you hear me mentioning, I'm going to post in the comment section so you can go over there and make sure you show them love, right? My boy Tempo StarCraft, he, in my humble opinion, is the epitome of a black RTS player, right? He Oh, but I remember Tempo started, I want to say, streaming StarCraft 2 maybe around 2010, 2011. I know he still streams to this day. I know he doesn't stream exclusively StarCraft 2 anymore. He streams a variety of games just like myself. But Tempo was a skill level wise, he was a master ranked Zerg player and a lot of love and community support, which is very, very rare to see. I would say that he is probably the biggest when it comes to black RTS streamers, right? He had a lot of amazing music that he put out in reference to StarCraft 2, and that boy was very, very instrumental with growing the StarCraft 2 community, whether he knows it or not. Big shout out to him. So you make sure you look in the comment section below, go over there, show him some love, make sure you follow him and let him know I sent you. In addition to Tempo, right? There was my boy, I believe Debo StarCraft was his name. He was a Terran player in StarCraft 2. I haven't seen Debo since like 2011. I don't even know if he still streams. I hope some of you may know who I'm referring to. If you played or watched any StarCraft, I'm hoping you do, right? But if he's around, please let me know so I can, go over there, show love, and see what he's been up to. But I haven't been able to find him probably since like I said, 2013. In addition to Debo, I'll see if I can find his link. Once again, I don't know if it's still there or not because I don't even have it on my channel anymore. And when I say my channel, I used to follow him on Twitch, and now all of a sudden he's gone from my Twitch. Who else? There is a gentleman by the name of Dochi. Just recently came across him. He's a variety streamer as well, brother on Twitch. Literally just starting. He's loves Age of Empires 4. He's playing over on Xbox. Go over there, show him some love as well. Dochi, and there's what's my boy's name? I can't think of it. God, I need to I'll put it in chat. I think it's I can't think of it, y'all. But he's playing Beyond All Reason. That's his go-to variety streamer, but he's playing Beyond All Reason. My boy, he shows up in the chat as well. Make sure you go show love to him also. But once again, how many did I name? One, two, myself, three, Tempo, four of us, right? Out of all my years of streaming, and I've been around since Twitch was Justin TV. I started streaming when it was Justin TV. Let me just to put that into perspective for you. I don't know of any more Black RTS streamers. So yet again, in the comment section below, any Black RTS streamers, post in the comment section so we could all show love, so we could all support, so we can grow the community even further, right? Last but not least, Black pro esport players. I don't care what RTS you want to throw in there. If you can name any pro players that look like me in the esports space, please post them below. I'm looking for them as well. I've been looking for them since 1987. So, once again, this is meant to be open dialogue. This is meant for us to grow as a whole, and this is meant for us to further expand the community. Last but not least, and we're going to end this, ladies and gents, because I don't want this to go on too much longer, right? The community. I love the RTS genre. I love the games. I love the competitive nature. I love the strategy. But I believe that the community as a whole, we are our own worst enemy. And I'm not saying the AoE 4 community. I'm not saying the StarCraft Brood War community. I'm not saying the StarCraft 2 community. I'm saying the RTS community, the RTS genre. When you're a person that looks like me, you don't look like the other pro players, you don't look like the other players who are at the top of the skill chain and chart, you get a lot of the amount of racism that I've received when it comes to streaming and playing RTSs is sickening, yeah. Like, as a whole, the community is dying because we're not welcoming and inclusive of people who approach the game differently than your top tier players or your top tier streamers. People get ostracized for having questions because it's not as easy as other games when trying to transition into the RTS genre, right? You can't just pick up the control or jump on the keyboard and the mouse and button mash or use the same one or two buttons for reloading and shooting and looting. There's a lot that goes into this. So when people ask questions, they get ostracized, they get disrespected. If you look like me, then you get hit with all the racial slurs. And it's like, fam, I enjoy the industry and I enjoy the games like anybody else here. Like, what is the problem? You feel me? So stop shooting ourselves in the foot. I'm speaking for me included because I'm a part of the industry. People want to get into the industry, right? People want to get into the genre. People want to enjoy themselves and have fun. All the racism, all the hate, all the ostracizing, all the disrespect, it's not necessary. And I'm going to leave it at that, ladies and gents. So any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comment section below. I appreciate each and every one of you. We are going to wrap this video up. We're going to dive back into the games, and I'm going to get this posted up on YouTube. I love each and every one of y'all. Till next time.